life, and it stays full during the winter. And so the Johnson House is
Hey, I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. And as you can see, we have a very active day for you at the moment. All right, I'm going to bring you around what we like to call the quad box. On the first left-hand side, you can tell that both the Senate and the House are very active today. We're going to dip into many of the committees that are happening. On your top right hand, Philadelphia police have been investigating a robbery of a Brinks truck. And what you're looking at from Sky Fox is one of the cars that they believe belongs to the people who could be responsible for that robbery. So Sky Fox is going to remain there as Philadelphia police continue to investigate what is happening. And then below, we have two different hearings happening. We have the Senate banking hearing. They're working on the nomination of Kevin Warsh. He's expected to be named the Fed chair. And then we also have a hearing coming out of the House. That is where the Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr., is talking about the fiscal year for 2027, what money he expects to be going in and what programs we expect to be happening there. So we will begin with the RFK Jr. hearing in the House.
Their prices from consumers. Mr. Secretary, will you support my efforts to lower prices and increase access, transparency, and quality of care for Americans who are struggling in today's sick care system in America?
Yes, I thank you for that legislation. We have already finalized regulations that are now requiring all hospitals in the country to post and certify their prices. And so patients will be able to, if you go into a restaurant, you are able to see the price on the menu. If a car dealer told you, you can buy this car, but I'm not going to tell you the price till afterward, you would not buy it. But that is what the hospitals are asking you to do.
Thank you for increasing transparency.
And we are changing that.
Choice. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I would appreciate your support on making that permanent so that it cannot be ripped away from the American people after this administration is concluded.
Happy to work with you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Secretary, ticks are becoming a bigger problem in Michigan and around the country. My wife and son have Lyme disease and other co-infections, but they don't show through standard antibody testing. If you have the ability to pay for a high-cost test like IGeneX, it shows the strains and confirms Bartonella in her red blood cells, and my son has Babesia in his red blood cells. We know that undiagnosed Lyme causes fatigue, autoimmune conditions, and neuropsychiatric issues in elderly and even schizophrenia in younger patients. We also know that with proper diagnosis, many of these symptoms can be treated and the disease reversed. My concern is that many Michiganders who are suffering from unexplained symptoms may think they've been tested for Lyme, when in reality, they have not because the standard test is not thorough enough. What can we do together to make sure that people are getting thorough and accurate testing for Lyme disease to stop these types of spreads, sir?
Yeah, I mean, this is a priority for us, Congressman. Lyme disease has been a hidden disease because the government has been denying its existence. Prior to me getting in, heads of my agency, the leading heads of NIH, were telling the American people it's a myth, it doesn't really exist. We've changed all that. We've conducted a Lyme roundtable with the best experts from around the country. Many people from this body participated in it. We put up a web page. I'm not sure if it's up yet, but it should be up so that people can find the best physicians for treating it. We're putting large amounts of money into Lyme research, and absolutely we should be doing pre-screening for people to see if they have it. So many millions and millions of Americans have this disease and don't know it, and it's absolutely debilitating to their lives.
Mr. Secretary, in the time that I have remaining, are there any questions, comments?
So it's interesting that the Secretary is talking about that. We know in the Philadelphia region, the spotting of ticks, the amount of them is really high this year compared to in the past. So no surprise that they are addressing it in that hearing. At the same time, back here in Philadelphia, I want to take you to the live camera, a live incident that Sky Fox is handling right there. So this is Torresdale Avenue in the city of Philadelphia. What we're told is that this morning, 2 guys using assault rifles robbed a Brinks armored truck and fled with no one knows how much money they took off with. The scene was being held by police, no injuries there. However, that investigation is active, ongoing. Northeast detectives on this one. And so what we're being told right now is that this is the corner of Front and Fairmount, and the car that they believe was involved in this robbery is what they are looking at. Earlier, Phil, who's in our room with us, had a question. Which car is it? Most of the police officers are standing next to that gray vehicle. So as we watch this along with you, we have to believe that might be it. But again, a Brinks truck being held up, and again, 2 guys using assault rifles. No one wants to see that in their neighborhood or anywhere on the streets of the United States, specifically right here in Philadelphia. So again, this is Sky Fox. This is our news helicopter, and they are the ones who are, over the scene here, kind of helping us investigate what exactly is happening. Again, this is at the corner of Front and Fairmount. This is the car that they do believe was involved in some way. And again, the Northeast detectives have not revealed how much money was taken, but you guys know this. A Brinks truck rarely is running around with a low amount of money. So this is one of the things that we are going to continue to keep our eyes on. At the same time, there are several hearings that are happening in Washington. So we are going to go back to the one where senators are talking to the Health and Human Services Secretary.
Instagram, because you said baseball legend Hank Aaron, an American icon and hero. You suggested that Hank Aaron died due to the COVID-19 vaccine. And in 2022, you compared vaccines to the Holocaust. And in 2022, you said, quote, "There is no vaccine that is safe and effective." And just last year, you dismantled the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices and replaced independent scientists with anti-vax pseudoscientists who removed 6 vaccines from the childhood vaccine schedule. And after an unvaccinated little girl died from measles in my home state, you told her father that, quote, "You don't know what's in vaccines anymore." So I'm curious as to why such a vocal vaccine skeptic has all of a sudden gone silent on these issues. And Secretary, I have a question for you. Please answer yes or no. Did Susie Wiles or anyone in the White House instruct you or suggest that you stopped talking about your controversial vaccine skepticism?
No.
Okay. It was reported late last year that Republican leaders were briefed on a memo that made it clear that anti-vax candidates would negatively impact their party's performance in the most competitive congressional districts in the upcoming 2026 midterms. I would like to enter this memo from the Republican polling firm Fabrizio Ward into the record, Madam Chairman.
Without objection.
Secretary Kennedy, were you made aware of this memo, yes or no?
It's a memo on a poll or what?
Were you made aware of the Fabrizio Ward memo?
I don't know what that memo is.
Okay. Well, if you look here and at chart 5 of this memo, it says that 70% of all voters do not think that the federal government should remove recommendations for childhood vaccines, including measles. Do you agree that the majority of American people oppose your anti-vax actions according to your own administration's internal polling, yes or no?
We've never removed recommendations for
yes
measles,
or no,
and I've never been anti-vaccine.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
I've never been everything you said
I'm reclaiming my time.
is a lie.
I'm reclaiming my time. Conveniently, since the White House received this memo, it seems that you are miraculously no longer an anti-vaxxer. But the American people are not dumb, sir. The American people are not dumb. You and I both know what is going on here. You have absolutely not had a change of heart. You do not care about this child with this rash from measles on him. And it took this polling, it literally took this polling to change your public posture about vaccines. This is real life, Mr. Secretary. and you have blood on your hands. I honestly hope that Donald Trump tells you to get to stepping next. I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back, and I recognize Representative Bentz for his 5 minutes questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here today. The Wall Street Journal on April 12th, John C. Goodman wrote on the opinion page, Trump is making the best of Obamacare. And in that article, he talks about the 2027 ACA exchange rule, which would allow health insurers to offer non-network plans on market exchanges. Health insurers would be able to set reference prices. And
So again, that House subcommittee hearing is on the fiscal year of 2027 of the Health and Human Services Department. Its secretary is there, and he's facing some spicy questions there. So we will be going in and out of that hearing now until 2 o'clock. At the same time, right here in Philadelphia, there is an institution that many people love. We think about it specifically on Christmas Eve and all of those things. But you know what? Termini Brothers wants to be there all the time, and they recognize that sometimes the treat is unattainable for some of us. Shane is kind of on that story today. I like this idea for us. I'm sad it has to come to this. Explain what's going on.
Hey, yeah. So a great opportunity to showcase the great things that, of course, the Termini Brothers have been doing all these years. This is a Philadelphia quintessential staple, right? Over 100 years in business. And so we're in currently their flagship location on South 8th Street here in South Philly. I'll just kind of flip the camera around. It's obviously open for business. Per usual, folks are coming in to get all of their treats. But one of the things that the owners that have really come forward on this is the fact that costs on everything has gone up. And I'm sure everybody can nod their head in agreement that, you know, the average grocery store trip is not what it used to be compared to 10, 15, even 20 years ago. And so they're facing the same kind of situation with sugar and eggs and overhead costs and insurance. So all those things combined, they have had to, over the years, significantly raise their prices on their staples, like their pound cakes, their birthday cakes, their cupcakes. And what the brothers were able to tell me is that they have taken all of those costs because they were tired of basically pricing out the community that has supported them all these years. And so what they have done is they have been able to come together, crunch the numbers, change how they do business, change how they distribute, change how they produce their staples, and essentially come down on pricing. So of the four quintessential like staples, their birthday cakes, their pound cakes, their cupcakes, they have pretty much cut them down to 25%. So instead of a birthday cake costing $40, that 8-inch birthday cake that they make in-house is now going to cost you $30. Instead of a $5 cupcake, a cupcake is going to cost you $3. And they said it was because they were really getting heartbroken over the fact that Termini Brothers wasn't a location that people were stopping at, you know, on their way to school or on their way back from a doctor's appointment. It became almost like it's just a special occasion kind of thing. And they said it's not meant to be a luxury, it's meant to be a community thing. And so they have done their due diligence and came down on pricing. And so we're talking to the brothers today, and you'll hear from them coming up later in the shows, but it's a really great story. You don't hear about businesses lowering their prices, let alone a family-owned business, right? And so it's a really great story, and it's all about, for them, the customers, not about the profit.
And I think, you know, you're there now, and you're going to be there. I don't think people realize how big it is in the back, how many people are employed back there. I mean, it is literally person on top of person. And again, we might think about it on Christmas Eve or maybe during the sweets holidays, you know, Valentine's Day, but they are there doing that year round. So, you know, sad it has to come to that for them. Happy that they're going to do what they need to do to stay in business. It's an important story. Thank you, Shayna. All right, we are going to take a quick 2-minute break. There's a lot happening in Washington here as well, now until 2 o'clock. By the way, MLB All-Star weekend is headed your way in July, right here on Fox. We're going to talk about what you can expect, some pretty cool new additions, that plus everything happening in Washington today. We've got it. 2 minutes. We are back. We are live. We have 4 different live feeds for you at the moment. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this right here. Top left, that is the New York Stock Exchange, and that's a live feed. And as Phil and a couple others in the room noticed, we were doing really good. Really, really good until just moments ago. We do know that the House Banking Committee is meeting, the Senate Banking. The hearings are basically examining the nomination of Kevin Warsh. He's from Florida, and he is expected to be the chairman of the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve System. The Fed chair is what we call that. So then down below, you have 2 different things happening. Again, you have that Senate banking hearing on the left-hand side where they are trying to figure out if this guy is the right guy to be the Fed chair. And then the other thing that we have been listening in is there's a House subcommittee. They're meeting about the fiscal year of 2027, specifically when it comes to the Department of Health and Human Services. The Secretary, RFK Jr., is there taking all kinds of questions. We listened in there earlier, so we're going to listen into this Senate banking hearing just to see what they're talking about. It's going to be a day where we get to hear all of the things that are happening all live.
We talked about earlier at NIH. At the same time that the U.S. is cutting funding for research, other countries are investing in research. And for example, as you discussed with Chairman Guthrie, China has made no secret of its ambition to dominate biomedical research.
That said, I think we should not forget that it would be common for a president who believes that interest rates should be lower to want to nominate somebody who has expressed that maybe interest rates could be a little lower, as opposed to the quid pro quo that's being accused of today. So I'm just grateful you're willing to do it. By the way, the other thing about independence that strikes me with regard to the Fed, do you have any idea how often an interest rate decision by the Fed is a 12-0 or a 10-0 vote? Do you have a sense of it?
I do, Senator. I'd say over the last 15 years, decisions have been unanimous or near unanimous. As I said to one of your colleagues earlier, I prefer clean memos and messier meetings, and there's nothing wrong with a divergence of opinion. These are very hard calls.
Thank you. I don't know when diversity became a bad thing in a room of thinkers, particularly with staggered terms. The other thing, none of this was in my mind that long ago, but the other thing that strikes me is you do have a lot of experience. This is your 20th anniversary, or at least your second anniversary. Have your thoughts changed much or evolved over those 20 years of experience in various areas, not to mention your research and your intellectual and academic writings? I mean, have you evolved a little bit?
Absolutely. I'll make 3 points if I can. One is it is essential for the chair of this organization to be open-minded to new ideas. The world is moving fast. The mistake that's common in the economics profession, which Secretary Schultz once described to me when I was telling him that I was thinking about pursuing further studies, he said, it's fine to get a PhD, but make sure that's not the last day you were learning. Too many people in the profession go back to what they learned 30 or 40 years ago. We've got to be open-minded. The world's changing and the facts are changing. To the characterization I heard from some of your colleagues about did my opinions change, my opinions change when the facts change. When interest rates are at 0 and the balance sheet is growing and the economy is booming, well, relative to that, I will say I sounded hawkish. In 2018, when the Federal Reserve pushed to raise rates into a financial market meltdown and economic weakening, I said that was a mistake. That was dovish. I expect to have a divergence of views based on the facts on the ground. And if I could just answer one other question you asked about why I want to do this job. I would say I've lived the American dream. I've been the luckiest, most blessed, fortunate person with the greatest teachers. I was a kid from upstate New York in public schools, and I had an opportunity to serve after 9/11. I was walking with a friend of mine who happens to be in this room away from a building near the site of the tragedy. I was walking up Fifth Avenue, and I thought to myself, what am I doing? And so I committed myself to public service then. I did 10 and a half years of public service. I've been grateful for 15 years in the private sector where I've been able to practice my discipline, think anew about things. and the call to service struck again. I'm honored to serve if this body will confirm me.
Excellent. You know, I do find it curious that so many people seem to be hung up on the fact that you've been successful even while doing, in between bouts of public service, probably a better way to put it. I'm not wealthy, never have been wealthy, and I'm not sure I have much potential to be wealthy, but I have nothing against people who are. That said, real quickly, I do want to talk a little bit about debanking. That hasn't been talked about a whole lot, but speaking of institutions that are dug in, I think there's you know, out of the 22,000 people, there are a lot of them that sort of still believe that reputational risk should be a factor, that reputational risk could be based on out of favor, you know, industries. Can you give me a sense of how you plan to attack that, if you will?
Politics have no place, not just in monetary policy, but in supervision and regulation.
Yes.
If central bankers should stand for anything, it's to resist fads, resist trends, call balls and strikes. That's exactly what I would intend to do.
I lean hard yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Senator Brooks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Walsh. And thank you for meeting with me last week. In August of 2025, President Trump tried to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook for unsubstantiated.
So again, we bring you these hearings so you can see exactly what is happening live. You can hear them questioning the people that candidly will be running our country day in and day out. It's just an interesting view that you can only get right here. The other thing that's happening, it's another live hearing. This one is a House subcommittee. You see him there. That is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr. They're talking to him about a number of issues.
It's religious belief that you have to say all vaccines are safe for everybody, and they're all effective for everybody. We all have to accept that, and anybody who disagrees with that is marginalized, vilified, and deplatformed. I think we ought to be able to talk. We ought to be able to talk about science and do it in a way that's dignified and congenial and open-minded.
Mr. Secretary, I will say in the last 5 years that I've known you, the one thing that anyone that knows you would say is you welcome conversations and open debate. That's how we grow, and I appreciate your time. With that, I yield my time back to the chair.
Thank you.
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield it back to the chair.
Okay, thank you for yielding back to the chair. And now I recognize Representative Ocasio-Cortez for her 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. How you doing, Mr. Secretary?
Good. Thank you for asking.
No, of course, of course. I'm not sure if you remember our last chat about a year ago where we talked about Medicare Advantage. But, you know, I think one area of agreement that we have, I hope, is that these insurance companies are fleecing the public, right? Can we agree on that?
Absolutely.
And they are, I mean, it's highway robbery on the American people, on people who are sick, on seniors. We're on the same page about that, right?
Yes.
And last year, I brought up Medicare, the Medicare Advantage program to you, because these corporations like United Healthcare, Aetna, are known to be defrauding the public. And really, we know that with Medicare Advantage, it's to the tune of about $80 billion. And the Department of Justice has, in fact, opened an actual...
You mentioned United last time.
So you remember this, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad that we're able to kind of jog the memory on there. We chatted about this, and we actually chatted about it afterwards, too. And so we know this. We're all on the same page here. United, CVS, Aetna, they're defrauding the American public to the tune of $80 billion a year. We know that they're doing this to the public. You know it, I know it. We've even had some bipartisan chat about this. And so I was surprised to see about 2 weeks ago, you had decided to give them another $13 billion. And it was used through the mechanism of the MA reimbursement rates. But I want to know, why did you do that?
And first of all, I agree with you on everything that you said. We have to look at the reimbursements that the industry get, which they said there'd been a 5% increase in cost. And that if we didn't give them the full 5%, they were going to lose, that it would impair patient choice, particularly in some regions of the country. The industry would leave. We gave them a 2% raise.
Right. And I hear what you're saying, Mr. Secretary, that the industry is saying that they're increasing these costs, but the industry is defrauding the public. So we know they're lying. We know they're lying through even their mechanisms. They are upcoding. They are telling us, the public, the government, Medicare, our systems, that people are sicker than they are so that they can get more money. They're lowering their reimbursement rates. They're increasing denial. So we know that these folks are lying. We know that they're bad actors. And if I'm hearing you correctly, we are giving them more money because they're saying that they need it?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
First of all, I appreciate everything you've done, and you speaking out about upcoding. We are ending upcoding. We're using AI now to detect it, to prosecute it, and to end it.
So there you see it. Members of this House subcommittee are talking to the Secretary of Health and Human Services about a variety of things. Interesting to see some of them getting along in this hearing, because sometimes these get quite spicy. Again, the title was hearing on the fiscal year, but when they have someone in that seat, they typically ask about so many things. It's one of the reasons why we'll be dipping in and dipping out now until about 2 o'clock. We are going to take a quick 2-minute break. Why? We've got the guy you want to talk to from the MLB. He is the Vice President of Global Operations and Events. You want to know what's happening here in Philadelphia during All-Star Weekend? This is the guy that's going to tell us everything we need to know. 2 minutes right here. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. We're going to be with you until 2 o'clock today right here on Philadelphia Live. We've been telling you on every platform, every show, every moment that the summer of 2026 is going to be the place to be in Philadelphia. I should say Philadelphia is going to be the place to be in 2026. And it all really started when the MLB decided that All-Star Weekend would be right here. We know that FIFA took a second look at this city. We know that a lot of other events wanted to be here because MLB All-Star Weekend was going to be here. So Jeremiah Yochid is the guy with a nice title, Senior Vice President of Global Operations and Events. good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jen. Nice to be here with you.
Yes, we were talking about it. Everyone thinks I have a great job, but they forget I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to be in a snowstorm or be in a hurricane. I'm assuming people think you have a great job, but it comes with a lot of planning.
Yeah, there's a lot of logistics. There's also a lot of weather. You know, we get hot in the summer. Certainly rain can get in the mix at times. So like any job, there's some real highs and then there's some challenges at times. But overall, very positive and very grateful to work in baseball.
Okay, so we're super excited for this, and we know about the Home Run Derby. In recent years, you've added the HBCU Swing Classic.
Swingman.
Is that the name of it?
Yep, you got it.
But this year, there's an awesome new thing, a 3-on-3 event. Okay, what's going on there?
So picture some of the best Phillies legends on the field at Citizens Bank Park, alongside some of the best AUSL players, which is a softball league that we partnered with, along with celebrities and entertainers, hitting home runs from the infield and creating an energy, entertainment, excitement, all at the ballpark on All-Star Sunday, which is July 12th. And what is incredibly exciting about it is that it gives fans a unique alternative format that's high impact and exciting defense, exciting offense. Players actually get to catch balls in addition to hitting balls. So there's a defensive part of it, there's an offensive part of it, and we're really excited to debut it at All-Star Week in the stadium for the first time. We've never done this ever before at an All-Star Week.
Well, Chase Utley. I think he'd be one of your alumni people. Can you kiss and tell? Can you give me some names who we're looking at?
The Phillies have an endless roster of big names. I'm not going to debut anything here, Jen. When we break the news,
on!
Listen, when we break the news, I'm happy to come back on Fox and share some of that with you. But you're naming people that will be around All-Star Week. Let's put it that way. And what's great about the Phillies it's a rich baseball history. Fans are all about Philadelphia baseball. And we're excited to not only bring some of the former legends back to the field, but in addition to that, we also have something called All-Star Village, which is our Fan Fest event down at the Convention Center, which is going to run from Saturday through Tuesday of All-Star Week, where you'll have autograph signings and interactive games and events for families and kids. So the entire city will be blanketed with All-Star during that week in Philadelphia for All-Star.
And you'll set that up on Friday for me so I can do it on Good Day as a preview. Thank you.
I am more than happy to have you down at the Convention Center. And again, always happy to have Fox with us. As you know, Fox is the All-Star Game broadcaster, so we're very good partners, and we're excited to have you, Jen, as the representative from Fox 29.
I'm ready to go. Now, the 3-on-3, is that an individual ticket? I know the ticket to the actual game and some of the other events, you can't touch them. Is the 3-on-3 something that I can get a ticket for right now?
First, I'll say there's always tickets available for fans across a number of these events. And some of the events are free and open to the public, and some of them are paid tickets. The one you're speaking about on Sunday at Citizens Bank Park is actually 2 events for 1 ticket. It will be available and on sale to fans, and they will get the Futures game, which is the best of the next generation of baseball players. So the Bryce Harper for the Phillies and who that is on the next go-round will be highlighted ahead of that MLBX competition, and you'll get to watch the Futures game followed by MLBX on that Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so all of this starts July 10th. When is the last time you will have a full night's sleep? Is it June 10th? Is it July 1st? When does it ramp up for you specifically?
When you work in events, it is 24/7 all the time. And so even between now and All-Star Week, we have quite a few events happening across the league. As you know, we are a 162 game season, and we have a lot happening across the league that we're able to, really deliver every night for our fans. So Jen, sleeping and events and Jeremiah, they don't all go together at times.
All right. I have to tell you, my son, Brody Frederick, was born on an All-Star game Tuesday, because they're always Tuesdays. And it was in Detroit. He was born in 2005. So for a long time, we nicknamed him Detroit. We thought it was funny. We were like, yo, Detroit, why are you pooping your pants? So our family is really excited to see this, come here personally. Obviously, it's a big deal professionally. So the best way to get a ticket to go to the actual game for the people who are watching, we have people streaming from all over the country. What's your best suggestion to get that done?
All the information on All-Star, whether you have a ticket today or you're looking to buy a ticket to one of these events, is allstargame.com. Nice and simple. Log on to allstargame.com, not only today, but in the weeks leading up to the event as well, because there's all kinds of different events that we announce at different times throughout the process. And we want to make sure that the energy that we felt for many postseasons at Citizens Bank Park is again alive for All-Star Week. And you're showcasing what Philly has to offer to the world. Because as you know, this is an international sport. Our game is bigger than ever. We just finished the World Baseball Classic. We had a great World Series last year that put the Dodgers up against the Blue Jays. And everybody is paying attention to All-Star Week in the baseball season. And so we're excited for Philadelphia fans to be a part of it, but also welcome their baseball brethren from across the world and across the country as we highlight the best of baseball during that week in July.
And by the way, you're right. It was supposed to be the Phillies, not the Blue Jays. That's a whole nother story.
I was prognosticating that we are always loving having the Phillies in the playoffs. And if they want to make the World Series one year, we're more than happy to be back in Philadelphia at the Sports Complex in October. So I'll leave that to the Phillies to figure out, because I can't do that. That's a bit on the field. And I do not make the things happen on the field, but I'll leave it to your stars to make that happen for this year.
As we wrap it up, when are you coming back to tell me that it's Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and Chase Utley that are going to be in the 3-on-3?
I love all three of those players. I would be more than happy to see them on the field, at the convention center, anytime they want. Great personalities. That's the other thing about Phillies, is that you have some great personalities on the current team, on obviously your Legends roster. So I would imagine, Jen, we'll see a few of those guys in and around All-Star events, and hopefully you and your son can join too. We'd be happy to have him at our events as well.
Oh, heck yes. All right. So listen, I know that you're used to talking to very buttoned up sports professionals. I appreciate you playing ball with us here today at Philadelphia Live. We appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy
Love
guy.
that, Jen. And it's funny you say playing ball, because Play Ball is our youth initiative. So you're right on brand. I mean, you really have researched, and anytime you want to talk, we're happy to talk about All-Star.
Wow. Pardon me. See this? He likes me, guys. He likes me. If someone that likes me, I love it. Have a great rest of your week. Go Phillies. We need all the help we can get.
All right. Thanks for covering us. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, very fun. So there we have it, a new event, which sounds like it'll be pretty cool. Okay, back here, we have a lot happening around the area. Washington, D.C. is a focus today. Why? Because several very important hearings are happening live as we speak. There is a group of people trying to figure out who the new Fed chair will be. That's important in Washington, but it's important on the New York Stock Exchange. They too want to know who will have that job. At the same time, people around the globe are trying to figure out what we are doing in terms of our health policies. So the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., is still being questioned by members of a hearing. We're going to listen in once again.
To question his competence, and in order to appease Joe Rogan's ire, he grants FDA approval. Safety and efficacy should be the standard for these drugs.
Do you want a grandstand or do you want an answer?
Not
you want a grandstand or do you want an answer?
I want safety and efficacy to be the standards by which psychedelics are approved, not the president's attempt to shore up support from his base for a disastrous war in Iran. It should not be Joe Rogan's decision what psychedelics are approved. It should be the decision of randomized controlled trials.
And we are doing non-politicized science for the first time in history.
Let me close with a final question here, reclaiming my time. You had said about the research here to my colleague from Texas that you wish that the NIH didn't have to cut the billions, right? That you wish the NIH did not have to cut money. You had said that to Congresswoman Fletcher.
FDA?
The NIH, the National Institutes of Health.
Of course.
Right. Do you think it'd be a better use of money to spend $1 billion a day on the NIH or $1 billion a day on bombing Iran? Which do you think would be a better use of money? $1 billion a day on bombing Iran or $1 billion a day on the NIH?
Members' time's expired. I now go to Representative Langworthy for his 5 minutes questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for being here today and for your leadership. As this committee reviews the fiscal year 27 HHS budget, we're focused on how these efforts will support American families, rebuild our trust in our health systems, and make America healthy again. Secretary Kennedy, in your testimony, you highlight efforts to require hospitals and insurers to disclose actual prices and make them comparable for patients. One concern that we hear, even when pricing data is available, is it can be difficult for patients to understand and comparatively make a decision. We've seen proposals around tools like advanced explanation of benefits that aim to give patients clear upfront cost estimates. What steps is HHS taking to ensure that this information is presented in a way that's clear and actionable and useful to patients?
You mean information from our agency or from the insurers?
Throughout the medical ecosystem.
I mean, we're doing more on transparency than any agency in history. We've got transparency and coverage rules. We're forcing the insurance industries to tell us what their margins are and what they're charging for every procedure. Our transparency rules for the hospitals, the first time are going to force them to post their prices, all hospitals and all providers, to post their prices, to certify them, to post them ahead of time. And then, you know, we're doing prior authorization where 80% of the insurance industry has now agreed to end prior authorization for 80% of conditions and procedures within a year by 2027.
That's great. I appreciate your efforts on that. In just about every other part of life in this country, people know what something costs before they commit to it, and that is critically important. You wouldn't make a major purchase, you wouldn't book travel, or sign up for a service without at least a general sense of price, and this is going to be very helpful as people make their healthcare decisions. But unfortunately, in healthcare, you know, to this date, patients have often been expected to make important decisions first, and then they find out the cost after the fact when they get a bill in the mail, and that's an unacceptable way to go forward, and we can't get our arms around the rising creep of cost of healthcare in this country until we really can see in layman's terms where the dollars are going. So, you know, what specific enforcement actions is HHS taking to ensure that providers are actually complying with the transparency requirements that your agency is putting forward?
I mean, during the Trump administration, the first Trump administration passed the transparency and coverage requirements. During the Biden administration, they passed at the end of his administration. During the Biden administration, they just didn't enforce them, so there was no resolution of the problem. We've now sent out 1,000 letters. We're enforcing discipline. We have hardened the regulations, just finalized new regulations that will provide draconian penalties for hospitals that fail to comply. So we are going to end that problem.
Well, thank you very much. We look forward to working with you and HHS on this issue. On biosimilars, Secretary Kennedy, you noted in your testimony that HHS is taking steps to streamline the development of biosimilars. What specific actions is the department taking to accelerate uptake and ensure that these lower cost options actually reach patients?
We've changed the approval process for biosimilars so that they will get fast-tracked. And biosimilars are basically the generic version of biologics. They're 35% cheaper. And we are doing everything that we can to maximize their access to the market as quickly as possible.
I appreciate that, Mr. Secretary, because at the end of the day, this is really about affordability for patients and making sure that they have availability of low-cost options. Another key piece of that is increasing competition.
So again, that is the House subcommittee. It's a hearing on the fiscal year of the 2027 Health and Human Services budget, but you do have the secretary in the chair, so the people in that hearing are certainly taking that opportunity to ask him about anything and everything related to his department. Back here at home, City Council is talking about this proposed rideshare tax. Chris O'Connell is on that story today. Chris, I'm an Uber user. They're sending me alerts that say, speak up, speak out against this. I don't know if you're getting those alerts. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who use Uber or Lyft are getting those same alerts, Jen. We're coming live right now from City Council chambers. Keep in mind, I'm got to keep my voice quiet. City Council in session right now, speaking of this very issue. A council meeting of the whole started today. The focus is around Mayor Sherrell Parker's $1 per ride rideshare tax being proposed right now in her budget, and that tax being basically will amount to riders who will pay that tax will go to fund $54 million a year, roughly, in recurring revenue for the City of Philadelphia School District to keep jobs, to keep in-school jobs. And that is the basic proposal. That proposal would go into effect on January 1st. But as you can imagine, and as you may have heard, Jen, this proposal is being met with a lot of opposition, not only with Uber riders, Uber drivers, but also we saw today here in City Council. City Council will have to approve this before it goes into the budget. And lots of questions today from City Council members. And frankly, this, from what it looks like, even from City Council members, this proposal, this tax is now in jeopardy of passing. One City Council member said he came into the meeting today thinking they might have 9 votes for this tax. At the time, he said he thinks they might have 6. There was lots of questions remaining. Is the city really need another tax? Especially when a few years ago we implemented the soda tax. They say this is, the city says this is recurring revenue. Just in a couple minutes from now, educators, including those teachers, people with the city, going to be holding a press conference here, telling the need for that money and the need for this tax. Of course, the city of Philadelphia School District is undergoing a $300 million shortfall, and part of this recurring revenue of $50 million a year will help plug that shortfall. So this is a very contentious issue. It got a lot more contentious today here at City Council. We also heard tomorrow, which this actually could go to some sort of vote tomorrow, Jen. Tomorrow, the superintendent of schools, Tony Watlington, was scheduled to testify here at City Council. Well, they called him early. They summoned him to City Council this morning, and he came here to answer those questions as to how much the city, the school district really needs in terms of can the cuts come from other places? Can this money come from other places other than the backs of Philadelphians who use Uber and ride shares? One city councilman saying that a majority, 60% of ride shares, whether food delivery or ride shares, come through lower income neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia. So this is really hitting the regular person hard. So a big contentious issue. It is going to be going on all day. 1 o'clock today, we anticipate we'll hear from Uber drivers and riders as this issue continues to be debated here at City Hall. Jen?
I appreciate your thoughtful explanation of all of this. I'm sure we're going to be dipping in. And also, this is now 2 days in a row where you've had to speak quietly. You were once at a golf event, and now you're here. And
Right.
I'm not sure I feel comfortable with this version of you. We need to get you loud and proud outside.
I don't
tomorrow.
either. We'll get it. Thanks, Jen.
Good luck, bud. Okay. So yeah, it's a big, big issue. People are going to be talking about it. Again, you might have received an alert. The first time it happened, I'm like, I didn't order an Uber. And they were basically trying to talk to me about this initiative from the Uber or rideshare point of view. We are going to take a quick 2-minute break. There is a lot happening. We have it all covered. All we need is 2 minutes, and we'll be right back with all of it. You want live? We have live for you right here. A complete menu of live, if you will. What the heck are you looking at? What is on the menu today? Let's begin top left-hand side, where you see in Philadelphia the Committee of the Whole. Chris O'Connell was just talking about this proposed rideshare tax, $1 per ride. It would benefit students in the city of Philadelphia. Both sides are going at it right now. The superintendent of schools, Tony Watlington, is on the hot seat, explaining what he thinks of the idea. We'll listen in. Also, right there in Washington, there's a group of people, and they're talking about who they believe should be the next Fed chair. We will dip into that at some point. Below there, you just saw the Secretary of Health and Human Services, that's bottom right, RFK Jr. He is facing a number of questions about his fiscal budget. As you can see, it looks a bit spicy. It has been throughout the past hour or so. And then you see a hallway. That's what we call stakeout cam. Right there, there are news photographers ready to get the actors in all of these different events as they come out. We're going to begin right here where we live in Philadelphia, listening to what they have to say about this proposed rideshare tax.
So that's why some districts were able to build schools and do some other things. It was around air quality. In my last district, we actually provided retention bonuses to teachers. Here in Philadelphia, because the district is so underfunded, this district, even though people think the budget is so big, had to not only try to deal with learning loss, Dr. Bill Hite had to take as much of that COVID money and fill the holes that funding is just not providing. Here's the best example. While most districts would not spend COVID money on positions, this school district hired 127 assistant principals with COVID-19 money. You let me recommend to President Streeter to cut 127 assistant principals, and every member of this council would be not happy. That just shows that here the money had to go to plug a lot of holes. The reason why I think we can get more money is not because I'm Pollyannish or somehow naive. In 2023, the Commonwealth Court ruled that the way we fund schools is unconstitutional in this Commonwealth. The General Assembly has started on a path, as well as the city, to get more revenue. It's just going to take time to get to adequate funding. Our best estimate right now is that it'll take a decade at the rate we're going. Our kids can't wait a decade, so I'd say that first. Second, I don't disagree that we can take some measures here in Philadelphia to help ourselves and then go to Harrisburg, the appropriate elected officials and others, and make the case that we're doing our part, you do your part. I don't have any magic wand or crystal ball, but I do think it puts the city in a stronger footing when we say we don't have 35% of our school buildings sitting empty and asking for more money.
And if I could be brief, I think one of the elephants in the room that the board is constantly worried about and guarding against, there's a statute that is still viable in our state where we can lose local control again if we're seen as being financially in trouble. So the Board of Education understands we will guard that to our graves, because we understand the impact that about 20 years had on our city of Philadelphia, and we're starting to put things back that were taken away and rebuilding public education. So I think that's one of the elephants in the room we're not talking about. It's not just about getting more resources. It's not getting things taken away and done to us again. That's part of the analysis too.
Appreciate that. I don't think that was a little bit of a direct answer to my question that you said.
Remember, Linda, I'm ready to wrap it up. So
I would
have
like
to be brief, and you're gonna have them all day tomorrow. We all will have them all day tomorrow.
This is
so. Okay. I'm just being frank. They stopped what they were doing to come temporarily, but we will have them all day tomorrow as well. So can you be brief and wrap it up, and Majority Leader?
The question was, why do we have to eliminate the full deficit this year? I understand how it got there, and I understand how this mark would look bad for potentially losing.
To pay down and eliminate this deficit in 1 year. This is a 4-year plan. We are recommending that President Streeter and his board take these austerity measures to the tune of $225 million in fiscal year 26, 27, and that we continue to trim our budget over the next 4 years such that by fiscal year 30, we will once and for all eliminate the structural deficit in the school district of Philadelphia.
So the significant amount this year, the largest amount this year.
The longer you kick the can down the road, the more interest and the more you pay.
I'll end with this. I've been a lawyer for a long time. When a judge orders that someone has to be evicted, they have to leave their home. When a judge orders that someone committed a crime, they go to jail. When a judge orders you have to pay someone a certain amount of money, you have to pay that amount of money. We got to figure out a way to get this money from the state. The judge ordered it in 2023. We must be adequately funded. They owe us money. Let's go get it. End of discussion.
I wish it was that simple, though. I'm just being frank, and I come from that body. You have a strongly controlled Republican Senate, and that no matter how much my good friend and Appropriations Chairman Jordan Harris does, or my little sister, the Speaker, Joanna McClinton, do, at the end of the day, unless we take...
All right, so again, this is the committee of the whole. You can hear they're talking about the mayor's proposal to add a $1 rideshare tax on each way, each ride, all the time. There's been some people talking about how it should work. You know, should there be like a minimum amount of a fare before you even get there? All of the money, she says, would go to help fund Philadelphia schools. Speaking of schools, we do have a national Teacher of the Year. Yes, and guess what? The teacher's right here from Delco. You're going to meet him right after this 2-minute break. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. We're going to be with you until 2 p.m. We were just talking about what they are hoping to do, or what some people are hoping to do in the city of Philadelphia. They want money to go to their kids' school system. And so one of the things the mayor has proposed is adding a $1 a ride share tax. So we're all about your education. That's something that is going to be debated. One thing not up for debate, we do have a national Teacher of the Year right here in our region. Haverford High School, Delaware County. You see him right there. Mr. Leon Smith, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. All right, so let's talk. You teach what the kids in high school call A-Push. AP US
Yes.
history, as
Yes.
well as African American studies. Am I correct?
Yes, AP African American Studies, yes.
So you're teaching the cream of the crop. These kids want A's. They want them because they want to do well in college.
Yes. But I would say, all students are capable of achieving. But certainly when we think about our AP students, these are students that, want a challenge and looking to see if they can earn some college credit while they're in high school.
That's pretty cool. One of the things that you do that's different than some of the other school districts, some of the other teachers, you want them to see what they're talking about. You want them to know what civic engagement feels like, what it looks like. So you make sure to get them face to face with some of those opportunities, right?
Yes, no question. I've had the opportunity to bring legislators into my classroom. Over the last couple of years, I've been able to take students to Harrisburg. Recently, I was able to take a student to a national conference. And so, yes, it's really important for students to be able to, get outside of the classroom and really see that their voice matters.
So basically, you're going to spend a year representing educators nationwide. I have friends who are teachers, high school teachers, public high school teachers. They want their voices heard.
No question.
They have plans. They want to revamp things, make it all better. Are you already hearing from your colleagues about things they want you to kind of put in the forefront?
I do, but I talk to my colleagues, all the time. I think that number one, they're just very happy for me. But yes, teacher voice is really important. We have excellent educators in our state, all over the country with tremendous ideas, and they really want to be able to have the opportunity to play a key role in shaping the curriculum and what's happening in their classrooms. And I'm a big advocate for allowing that to happen. That's going to keep our great educators in the classroom if they feel like they have the opportunity to play a key role in deciding on what they teach.
I've been doing this for 25 years. Did you ever imagine in the beginning that you would be Teacher of the Year?
No, I didn't. I think as with most teachers, I don't think we get into it because we're trying to win awards. My goal was to make a difference and to, help students to achieve their dreams. And, along the way, I've been able to have these tremendous, accolades, but, I'm still grounded in how can I help my students be successful? And I love teaching and making a difference.
Do you normally wear the outfit that you have on to class each day?
Some days, you know what? I really have a lot of respect for the teaching profession. I dress up every day. I wear a shirt and tie every day. And so there are some days where I wear a jacket, but I think today is a special day.
I would agree. I would agree. When you found out you got this, who was the first person you told?
My wife. Yes, and we just embraced. We cried. It was just such a powerful moment, and she's been with me every step of the way. She understands, the ups and downs, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And so, it was just a really special moment.
Well, on behalf of everyone in this room, there's 4 of us, and all the people around, that's pretty cool. To be a high school teacher is one thing, and you're right. These advanced placement kids, they want to do well. They're trying to get into the best colleges. They're trying to get college credit so they can double dip. I know a lot of them are like, if I get these college credits, I can do a double major. When I went to Florida public schools, and I did not have aspirations like that, Mr. Smith. But I'm certainly glad there are kids in our region that get a chance to be taught by you and are reaching for the stars. Thank you for taking a minute to speak with us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
And I'm going to dress up more. You're my inspiration. I'm going to get a little spiffy moving forward.
All right. Every time I see it, I'll be thankful.
Okay. Have a great one and good luck. And congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. For sure. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. There is a lot happening. We're going to reset. You're going to want to be here until 2 p.m. welcome back in. You've seen it. There's a lot happening here, everywhere, including Washington. We're going to take you to some testimony now where they're talking about the bankruptcy rate for farmers. Apparently, it is bigger than it has ever been, and many people want to make sure that our farmers in the United States are taken care of. We're going to listen in.
This is recognized.
I thank the Speaker. I would note that we're talking about rural America. Last summer, when we passed the largest tax savings for the American people in history, it included significant savings with respect to the death tax that cripples American farmers. And not a single one of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle supported that. We advanced that legislation. We advanced that tax reduction so that American farmers can pass down their farms to the next generation without having to give it up because of the burden of the federal government. My colleague invoked the founders, saying, I couldn't imagine we would be here having this discussion. I, in fact, think that the founders would be quite pleased to see us on the floor reversing the regulatory state, reversing the burdens being placed on the American people that are limiting their ability to do what God gave them the ability to do. And that is what we're doing with respect to getting these barriers in the Endangered Species Act, the energy mandates on the federal buildings, putting us into unreliable power rather than reliable power, allowing ourselves to have geothermal production without barriers that stand in the way of the American people doing what they do best. That is absolutely what the founders would have envisioned us doing on the floor of the House of Representatives. I'm proud to be doing that. I'm proud of what we've been doing the last 16 months. As I said before, the people I go home and I talk to in Texas are thrilled our border is secure. They're thrilled our enlistments are up with our military. They're thrilled we're standing up to cartels. They're thrilled we're removing bad actors in this country. They're thrilled we're removing the bureaucratic state. They're thrilled we're firing federal bureaucrats. They're thrilled we held flat spending for discretionary spending for the last 3 years. They're thrilled that we've tried to make sure that we have money aside to be able to do what our Democratic colleagues refused to do. And today, I urge adoption of this rule, a rule to put forth legislation that will help the American people in the face of opposition from my colleagues here. I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve. Madam Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time and move the previous question on the resolution.
The gentleman from Texas yields. The question is on ordering the previous question on the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Gentleman from Colorado.
Request yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed.
So there you see it. That is the House floor. Basically, they've been talking about a number of issues, primarily small town America, and they were definitely talking about the fact that more farmers in the United States are filing for bankruptcy than ever before. The other thing that we're keeping our eye on at this hour is the Committee of the Whole. That's happening right here in the city of Philadelphia. One of the things that they are talking about is this rideshare tax. Basically, the mayor has said that she would like to put a tax, $1 each way, every ride, that would go directly to the school district of Philadelphia to help them fund some of the things they want to do. Many people have said it's just another soda tax. Other people have said if you can afford a ride share, you can afford $1 more. But there have been several people that have come back and said, you know what, I can't afford a car. So I am using these ride shares to get to work, get my kids to school, those types of things, and $1 each way, 5 days a week. So that's would impact my ability to get that done for my family. I believe this is a video presentation that is being shown inside the Committee of the Whole where they're talking about this whole idea of a ride share tax. We're going to listen in and see exactly what this is.
I heard it. Yeah.
But I think we learned even recently when Philadelphia welcomed the Michelin Awards, and we received more stars than our friends in North, Boston, and our friends in the South, D.C., of brand new restaurants who are coming on board, that Philadelphia has a track record of bringing forth incredible cultural assets, amazing culinary offerings, and our history, right? The stories of antiquity still whisper from every cobblestone. But ultimately, the tie that binds all that together are people. And I think in the 250th, we're going to really celebrate the people of Philadelphia. I know that you're committed to doing that through our workforce, making sure that they are front and center and have opportunities to engage and participate. And I think that's something that's really exciting me, because it's something that I think other cities are going to see and say, you know, that's the model.
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning that. We definitely have been working closely together to make sure that our workforce feels like this is a celebration of them as well. The city runs because of the great men and women and individuals that work within the city of Philadelphia.
It's been really inspiring to look at the photos from the records department and see the role in which Philadelphia's city workforce, the municipal workforce, have really built the city into where we are today in partnership with so many external organizations. But if you remove that missing link, you know, we're not the great city, the world-class city, the first World Heritage City that we are today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This was fun. Again, very excited. Everyone can tell how much this means to you and how much work has already gone in.
Try to keep myself seated in the chair.
Yeah, next we might have to.
Strap me now.
Thank you for joining me and coming on. And again, we can't wait to see all the things that are going to unfold next year.
Thank you.
And into the future.
Thank you for your leadership.
All right. Well, ditto. All right. So that's it. I appreciate again everyone joining us and tuning in for Coffee Chat with the CAO, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
So again, that was part of the committee, the whole hearing. It was just one of the things that we're looking at. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. The governor of Texas is speaking. We do believe that committee, the whole, is thinking about this rideshare tax. We have a lot happening, and we're going to have it for you in 2 minutes. Welcome back in, everybody. If you're wondering, we're not doing sports today because we're just going to be happy about the fact that the Flyers won. That's really the only story that anyone in this room care about. No one cares about the Mets, like JP wants to care about them. And so we're up 2-0 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They come back tomorrow night, which is expected to be a very raucous event in South Philadelphia. At the same time, we are looking at your money. And look, it was looking green. Everything was awesome until about 11 o'clock this morning. That is when U.S. stocks turned negative. Basically, investors were checking out the Fed chair appointee, Kevin Warsh, and his confirmation hearing. Remember, we brought parts of that to you. The other thing that they're saying is impacting this is Tim Cook's exit as Apple CEO. So the Fed Reserve chair said during his confirmation hearing that the push and pull between President Trump and the central bank could be coming to an end. He pushed back on the idea that he would do whatever the president asks him to do. When asked whether he would be, basically, in the words quoting here, the president's sock puppet, Warsh commented, and I'm quoting, absolutely not. In the Middle East, President Trump and U.S. negotiators are ready to leave for Pakistan to resume some talks. The president has signaled that he does not plan to extend the temporary ceasefire with Iran. So we talk about this all the time. When there is geopolitical unrest, the stock market doesn't like it. You do see red. And as you can see, we had a bit of a bump where it was green, but now for most of the day, it has been in the red. The other thing that we're going to do real quick is dip into coverage of Live Now.
It was a cover-up. People covered this up. Could be people in administration, could be local officials. There needs to be an investigation by the local officials of the people involved in the cover-up of this domestic violence incident.
Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Senate Republicans are expected to release the budget resolution for the reconciliation package that they're trying to pass. They're hoping to have it to the House to be taken up as soon as next week. I'm curious, as this process gets underway again, are there any lessons that you all learned from the way that you attacked the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill last year? And can we expect to see the, events on the steps, all of the types of programming that you all did around that particular piece of legislation? Can we expect to see that this time around, or is it just a different ballgame? Is each reconciliation package different, or do you expect to use some of the same strategies on this one as you all did last year?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think that they are all different, right? This is different timing. This is closer to the election. I think some Republicans have some concerns. First, in order for them to move it from the Senate to the House, they have to have 50% support. And we'll see if they have that support within the Senate conference. I just don't know if that's the case. I think, unlike some of the reconciliation from last year, it was a clear assault, and we said it here. It was a clear attack on healthcare.
All right, so as Tim Cook is stepping down from being the CEO of Apple in Texas, Dell Computers and that family is a big deal. The governor there, Greg Abbott, is expecting a big chunk of money. I believe it's going to the University of Texas, Austin. That's the governor of Texas. We're going to listen in there.
They've been for our state. Before I do that, however, I want to point out something that I think everybody in this room, and I know countless people outside of this room, would agree upon. And that is, in the history, the long, illustrious history of the University of Texas, I don't think we've had as transformative of a chair of the board who's accomplished as much as Chairman Kevin Eltife and everything that you've done for the University of Texas system. Thank you, Kevin. Texas has long been known as the land of opportunity. No one exemplifies that more than Michael and Susan Dell. As Michael recounted, as just a kid in a dorm, he began assembling computers. And as they say, the rest is history. Well, Michael and Susan are making history again with today's announcement. It's a combination of three of Texas's greatest legends, the Dells, MD Anderson, and the University of Texas. This new announcement actually is building upon a long legacy the Dells have provided to this region and to the state with regard to health care. There's the Dell Children's Medical Center, Dell Seton Medical Center, Dell Medical School, and now the Dell Campus for Advanced Research and the new UT Dell Medical Center. I want to go back and expand on something that Michael alluded to when he talked about his parents, because there is some irony behind his life story. As Michael pointed out, his parents wanted Michael to come to the University of Texas and study medicine. Well, Michael had a different course, charted that own course. In the end, Michael Dell and Susan together have educated more doctors and treated more patients than Michael ever could wearing a white coat. Michael didn't just build a better computer. He redefined how the world buys computers and how it thinks about technology. Now, Dell Medical is doing the same thing with regard to healthcare. They're doing something that's not just incrementally better, but categorically different. The Dells built a global technology empire by doing what others did not do, by seeing what others missed. Dell Medical carries that same DNA, not a better vision of an old system, but a fundamentally new vision, a vision that transforms our state. Now, Texas comes into this already leading America in areas like technology, energy, finance, and a whole lot more. Now, with this new campus and new medical center, Texas will lead America in healthcare innovation as well. The future of healthcare is right here, right now. Next generation medical breakthroughs will take place in Central Texas. Our healthcare workforce is going to expand and attract even more talent, research, and innovation in the Austin area. And access to healthcare is going to be expanded, and that increased access cannot be overstated. More patients will have access to more and better healthcare that is uniquely tailored to their own personal needs. And there's something else that Michael and Susan are doing. They are modeling what it means to leave a legacy. Their generosity will inspire countless other Texans to find their own unique way to give back to the state that we love so dearly. So thanks again to Michael and Susan for everything you're doing. Thanks to University of Texas, to MD Anderson, and Hook 'em Horns.
Thank you, Governor Abbott. We are honored by your presence here today. We appreciate you being here. Our next speaker is a lifelong Longhorn and a great leader. He has spent years advancing UT Austin's future and preparing it for this very moment. He knows what a flagship university means to our great state, and there is no one better prepared to lead this transformation. He hit the ground running. He is a breath of fresh air. He is our 31st president of the University of Texas at Austin, Jim Davis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Eltife, and thank you all for being here. Listening to our chairman, listening to Susan and Michael Dell, listening to our governor, Governor Abbott, listening to speaking about this moment, I realize that there are moments in our history when Longhorns have changed the course of the future. Today is one of those moments. Today we're taking a bold step forward. Making a great leap like this requires three key things: an aspiring vision, the will to act, and a commitment of extraordinary measure. Susan and Michael Dell are Longhorns. They are Longhorns who have a vision to change our world. They have the will to act and have transformed that lives of students and patients and Texans for years from that will. Their lifetime of extraordinary commitment has made this next step real. Together, we are transforming the University of Texas, bringing a new vision for human health to life, where the best of medicine and the best of research come together in Austin, Texas. You know, looking back, the founders of UT expected a university to match the greatness of this state. And today we carry our founding vision forward. It includes medicine and our students and the entire university. With remarkable support for scholarships, more young Texans will have the opportunity to come to the 40 acres to receive a world-class education. And with more research, Texas will continue to lead our nation and make new breakthroughs in science and technology. Today is just the beginning. Years from now, we will look back and see how medicine was completely transformed, how diseases with no known cure are cured right here, how technology made human life stronger and freer, and how Texans made that real. For all of us here, it is now our task to build this future. When generations of Texans look back at this moment, they will know what started here. They will recall the day when Texas decided to lead a new frontier, and they will remember the power behind us.
So again, that's happening in Austin, Texas. Just a massive amount of money being given by the Dell family, their alma mater, and it will build a new medical school there in Austin, Texas. Governor Greg Abbott there. We have Greg Payne here in Philadelphia, and he's working on this story. You remember at the top of the show, we were showing Skyfox over what they thought was a suspect vehicle, and that's the story you're on, right, Greg? The Brinks truck robbery?
Say that there were two armed men that robbed a Brinks truck here at the 7200 block of Bill Avenue. And based on the chopper video that we have, the Brinks truck was right there in front of the SEPTA stop that was located right there. Now, just to put it into perspective of where it is located, can you hear me? Okay, you can't hear me? They can't hear me. Okay, they can't hear me for some reason. Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We think we're listening to your shotgun mic, not your actual microphone.
We have a phone. There is no shotgun mic.
You actually sound better now. Is it the wind?
Oh, okay. They're saying. I'll grab it.
Welcome
Yeah.
to
Can you hear me?
Television. That's better.
Okay, you can hear me better now?
Yep. Tell me what's going on.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Ken.
Okay. So where this took place, they said it was the 7200 block of Torresdale Ave, and you can see right here, there's the bus stop, and right in front of the bus stop is where they said that Brinks truck was located. And just to put it in perspective, this is Torresdale Avenue. Right there is Cottman Avenue. Based on what police had mentioned, they had said that there were two armed men with assault rifles that robbed a Brinks truck. Now, from people that we've been talking with in the area, they had mentioned one of the focuses of this robbery was this check cashing spot right here at the corner. And so, as you can imagine, this is a situation that has really shaken up a lot of people. This stretch of the of Torresdale Avenue is filled with a number of businesses, which we've had an opportunity to speak with some business owners about the situation, all of them saying that it just escalated very, very quickly. Now, as you had mentioned, there was a chopper shot that you guys showed earlier on in the show, and yes, that is one of the vehicles, or that is the vehicle that police believe is the suspect vehicle. It was a blue vehicle. We actually watched it be taken off. It was over in Northern Liberties on Fairmount in front. And so that is kind of the latest in regards to this. We are continuing to try to talk with people in the area, but a lot of the folks that kind of witnessed what had occurred. They had said that it all just transpired very, very quickly, and it all seemed like it was centered around this check cashing building here. And the Brinks truck, as I mentioned, was parked literally right in front of that Torresdale bus loop stop, Jen.
And we still don't know how much money they might have gotten away with, right?
Yeah, so it's still an undisclosed amount at this point in time of how much money was actually taken in this armed robbery.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry about the tech at the top. We appreciate your help. At the same time, I do believe that, do we have the Philadelphia City Council? Once again, I think we have the Committee of the Whole. We do not. All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is a guy that we got to know a little bit just a couple months ago, and certainly last year. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. He is speaking. Apparently there was a meeting with lawmakers. Now he's briefing reporters about what happened in that meeting.
It was kind of just a blurb afterwards or whatever. I am adamant that we still can move. My God, is a minimum safe storage and things. So I'm still hopeful, but look, I'm a realist. It's 67-67. Republicans have made it clear they don't want to touch anything on guns. We still have Republican leadership very proud of what ICE did here, very unapologetic about what happened. That's a problem. So that's part of the politics here of the nuts and bolts that need to get done. Still discussing these major differences. We did it last year, and so those things are still very much alive, and we'll see in the negotiations where we get. Got time for a couple more? Yeah.
Do you support looking to bonding money for things like county infrastructure, the tech build-outs, or school safety?
Yes, I think so. And I say that, prefaced in making sure it's fiscally responsible and we're able to do it. And I will credit Representative Torkelson has been really great on this issue of IT. And this is an important one to me. I was in Congress when we did the IT modernization at the VA. These legacy systems, and to be very candid, that's a vulnerability on fraud in our outdated IT systems. It's also an incredible burden on county employees in a lot of cases. So I do think I have a relatively, modest proposals to get at that. I think the way we're approaching it is to get a full scope of what is needed, and this is going to be a multi-year investment to upgrade that system. We have a recipe for success here in MNLARS when we came in. Remember, that was $100 million that had been dragging on. It was very contentious. Democrats and Republicans worked together, and within 18 months, we now have a very, very efficient licensing system. So the answer is yes, I'm interested in it. I feel the sense of urgency they have of investing in getting this new system, but the one thing we've learned is you can't launch a bad one. And we saw this recently, and I won't make any apologies for it. We have a vendor, and I don't think this vendor's doing as quickly as they could have, but that's the way some of it works. You have to be certain before we launch them. That's the lesson we learned with MNLARS. So answer is yes.
I have a couple of proposals for property tax refunds, a big one from the House GOP, but also $100 million from Senator Hochschild. I'm wondering your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I'm with folks on the property tax that if trying to tackle that. I think that's why we're trying to figure out, and this was a conversation we had in there, and there's some very interesting charts. One of the reasons Minnesota has had such stable budgets and been AAA bond rating is our revenue sources have been very stable. That's starting to change. And when those revenue sources change, it starts to revert back to the property taxes, and they get hit on that. I'm open to where they're hearing about some of these things. I think that's probably a budget year situation. I think a lot of that is messaging around this, but I do think the property, I've said this for years. You have people who come to this place, they brag about being fiscally conservative. They vote against anything on revenues, and that means schools, water treatment, roads end up getting kicked back down to the local level. This is how you create states that are inequitable. Richer areas have more money. I feel a sense of responsibility that all of us should help build water treatment plants in our smaller communities together because we benefit from them. So I think it's probably a broader discussion. I don't think you'll probably get anything tackled around that, but some of these things are conversations that will eventually get there. I'll go to Eric. Go two more here. Go ahead.
St. Paul Arena got a shot?
Pardon me?
St. Paul Arena renovation?
Look, and again, I will say this from my perspective on this. I am supportive of it, starting with Mayor Carter and Craig Leopold when they came and presented of what needed to be done there, and now Mayor Herr. I'm supportive of what they're doing. I think it makes right sense. I don't feel like there's a big appetite amongst people, and I've had this conversation with all of our professional sports teams in the university. We got to have a long-term plan on how we think about infrastructure in these arenas. I've always said that I thought we should all get together and agree that we've got a 30-year plan, and when your rotation comes up, because if you're lucky enough to come and ask for an arena when we're in a budget surplus, you might get it. If we're in a volatile time, you don't get it. But as far as the concept of what it would help for downtown St. Paul, I think Mayor Herr and Mr. Leopold are right about this. I agree with them. I think it's going to be a tough lift in a non-budget year to be able to get that done. But once again, this is probably a multi-year approach.
Governor, you've got 3.5 weeks left in your last legislative session. What's the single most important thing that you think you can do, and also what Prince sang was
What I would say for me is this fiscal responsibility, and look, I'd be candid with all of you, so many reasons the fraud thing cuts so deep. The one thing is I pride myself, and I was in Congress, and if you look back at my record of being very fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative, I do that in my own private life, and I've done it in many of these budgetings. And so I think that piece of it, of putting Minnesota in a strong position to ensure those investments that we made in education, in infrastructure, in safety, are able to continue on. So I think that's where it'd be, where it's at. And the question was on Prince?
He died 10 years ago today.
Yeah, God. I feel like, I thought about this a couple times, said it this winter. I wonder how Metro Surge and things would have been different if he were still alive, because you saw some of the voices that were speak up on that. So I'm a 1999 guy still, because I'm old enough that it still seems like it's the future, and that's what's really something. So thank you all. Get some more work done. So
Did you see Bruce Springsteen when he did Purple Rain a few weeks ago? Were you
I
at the
know.
show?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was, and it was fantastic.
So interestingly, the governor did mention it. Today is the anniversary of the musician Prince's death. When our team from Good Day was in Minneapolis for the Super Bowl back in 2018, some of us did get the opportunity to tour his home. It was pretty cool. An experience I think the people that were in and on that trip will not soon forget. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We have a lot happening, all of it in just 2 minutes. way, we've been watching people talk in various rooms, both in Washington and right here in Philadelphia. So basically, the Committee of the Whole has been meeting in Philadelphia's City Hall. The one thing they're talking about most of the time is this proposal to levy a $1 tax on each rideshare ride. So like you call an Uber, you pay $1. Uber takes you home, you pay another $1. They're trying to basically say that would help fund the budget for the Philadelphia public school system. We do believe that Uber drivers and Uber customers are the ones who will be testifying now in front of the Committee of the Whole. This, by the way, is the mayor's proposal. She says in other cities, specifically San Francisco, where I believe Uber was launched, they've been doing this type of thing for quite some time. She has also said that it's much more than $1 per ride. However, the people that live here in Philadelphia say, you know, they're already strapped for cash. And so this certainly would be another big issue for them. Again, the Committee of the Whole is meeting. Can we hear them? We can hear them. Let's listen in.
Please state your name for the record and please begin. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How you doing?
Yes, hello.
Like that button too, pretty sharp. Please state your name for the record and begin.
Okay, hello. My name is Barb Shelley. I live in the 5th Council District, and I am a member of Arch Street United Methodist Church in the 1st District. I'm here with Power Interfaith. I just want to speak on behalf of some of the younger adults that have made a home at our church. They are young adults with a passion for service and social justice. They are nurses, teachers, artists, the future of our city, and yet almost to a one, they question whether they have a future in this city because of the affordability issue. I do understand there's many pieces to the affordability puzzle, but you are the ones who get to decide who benefits from the city's tax policies and who gets hurt. Long term, if taxes are the best you can do this year to preserve essential jobs in the schools, then so be it. But taxes on Uber and Lyft rides and retail deliveries seem like a desperate, inadequate patch on a tear that will continue to widen without a bigger fix. So I join with Power Interfaith in calling for a tax structure that makes life better for ordinary people and doesn't impose additional burdens on them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, sir. Just state your name for the record and please begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Jared Johnson. I am a lead transit organizer for Fiscal Advocacy and a member of Transit for Philadelphia. On behalf of Transit for Philadelphia, we want to see you support the transportation, the package delivery tax. This is important to me because it'll allocate funds for public transportation without impacting schools. It will invest in freedom and mobility, looking out for other students, and the city should invest in mobility and transit, making transit more affordable. And as a matter of fact, we have members that, for Transit for Philadelphia, that use public transportation. And I know someone who has a 10th grader in high school and she can't use her student pass beyond 8 p.m. or on the weekends. And it's also hard for her because she has to shell out money just so that she can get a ride. Doing this will make it easier for that woman or child. And like I said, it's also looking out for your friends, neighbors, and coworkers who use public transportation that are on low income and who work for the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Please state your name for the record and please begin.
Good afternoon, members of council. My name is Latasha Wells, and I'm here today deeply concerned, as a deeply concerned community member and professional who witnessed the daily challenges of our unhoused population right here in Philadelphia. I'm standing before you to express my full and unwavering support for Mayor Parker's proposal on hotel tax. This isn't just about a policy or a percentage. It's about a necessary investment in dignity and safety of our neighbors. In my line of work, I see the human face homelessness every day. We aren't just talking about statistics, we are talking about families, veterans, and individuals who are often one crisis away from losing everything. Currently, our shelters are stretched thin, and our resources for transition services are at a breaking point. When we fail to provide adequate support, the cost is felt by everyone in our public spaces, in our healthcare systems, and mostly important, in the lives of those left in the cold. The beauty of the specific tax is sustainably by leveraging the tourism in a hospitality sector, we can generate a dedicated, consistent stream of revenue that goes directly toward expanding shelter capacity, ensuring no one has to be turned away on a freezing night. Wraparound services, providing the mental health and addiction resources that are vital for long-term stability. Rapid rehousing, helping people move from a cot to a front door of their own. If this passes into a bill, the benefit will be visible. We will see cleaner, safer streets, but more importantly, we will see a Philadelphia that takes care of its own. It sends a message that we welcome visitors to our hotels. We use their growth to enter. I'm sorry. Okay, well, thank you.
Boy, don't touch nobody like that, boy.
Next, we have R.K. Williams, Peter Ahn, Mimi Ijima, David
Thank you, Ms. Wells.
Katzenhorst, Deborah Klur, and Brianna January.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Christopher R.K. Williams.
Christopher, could you pull the microphone up a little closer to you, sir?
This fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Christopher R.K. Williams. I'm one of the Philadelphia residents from the North Philadelphia District for District 5. Lived here all my life and a business owner. I come before this government today to see, excuse me one second. I know I got a minute. These taxes that you're putting on, these tax cuts y'all taking off, in my neighborhood, the neighborhood I grew up in North Philly, I'm watching schools close down. Everything y'all doing is going to the people who are hurts here. Now, I'm a business owner at the same time, even though I had to deal with homelessness, whatever, and even though I had to overturn a case, the guys that I employ that are transients, they can't even fund a room, and y'all gonna make more taxes than where they can't, like, it's $7.25 an hour. And what I'm saying is the fact that if y'all gonna do this and y'all gonna have all these taxes, make it affordable for the people who are working. Y'all making these big corporations get over on it? No, stop that. If you're gonna tax them to help us. Tax them to help the little people. Every day I walk around here in my own city, the one that we all say y'all love, and I'm one of y'all business, I'm a small business owner, and I can't afford most of the stuff I can because y'all taxes are too high. And I can't even keep the people employed that are trying to do themselves. And, like, what y'all doing? That's my question. What are y'all doing? And I'm just part of the community. Thank you for your services. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Peter Ahn. I live in Germantown, council district number 8. I speak as a part of Power Interfaith, but also I've been working closely with APIPA. In the past year, I've had many firsts. I received a phone call from an unhoused and undocumented friend, a mother with a U.S.-born daughter from a homeless shelter. They didn't know where to go, what to do, because they were getting threats that they were going to call ICE on them. My friends and I also housed unhoused friends, rotating house by house weekly, and I know your job is not easy, And I wish I had more time to tell you other things. I know that in the federal budget, we've seen the largest transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top, increasing 42% of budget in military. We always seem to have enough money to borrow to kill people, but not enough to feed people or house people. I think there's some choice happening here, especially when we cut taxes from wages, big businesses, more taxes for Uber, which is for everyday Philadelphians.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is David Tatkenhorst. I'm a pastor, retired. I live in Jamie Gautier's district, proudly, and see her running a lot. She's good. And we're glad the city's considering new taxes. We're just worried as in power that they fall so much on poor and working people. And we have to figure out alternatives. A public bank would be a really good alternative. It's a real possibility that we keep our money in ways that we can use it for ourselves rather than have it go to big banks outside of Philadelphia. We think that instead of, we're cutting down BERT. There's ways that we can be continuing to tax the corporate class and have money coming more from wealthy people and less from poor and working people. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mimi Ujima, and I live in West Philly, Council District 3. I am with Power Interfaith and here to talk about taxes. Most West Philly houses are big Victorians, too big for our small family. So when we bought in the Penn Alexander catchment, we got a multifamily. We kept the first floor as a rental, and we live in a separate apartment on the upper floors. Our house was the ugliest house on the block. It needed tons of work. Our rental helped with renovation costs and helped us afford a good school in a pricey area. Our neighborhood's popularity, however, resulted in our property tax more than doubling in 2025. It shot up 114%. Our house was lumped together with surrounding rental properties. We were grouped with investors who care most about making money, and they chop up their buildings into many units to generate as much revenue as possible. But the city didn't care that our rental income is much smaller, and the city didn't care that our property is our family home. We keep the rent below market rate so that our tenants can save for the house of their own. It's really hard to save. We raise the rent only after they leave, and in our 22 years as homeowners and landlords, we've never raised the rent on a tenant. However, the bigger property taxes may change